All right, it's game number 20 for the Boston Celtics as they come back home from their 3-game road trip to welcome the Orlando Magic at TD Garden. Welcome into another edition of the Celtics pregame report. I'm your host, Josue Pavone. My guest is Philip Rossman-Reich of Orlando Magic Daily. He's also the host of the Locked On Magic podcast, and he joins us right now for CLNS Media. Phil, thanks for checking in, man.
No problem. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope you had a good one.
Yeah, it's always great. I mean, you can never complain. It's like undefeated record in terms of how many plates I eat. So that's how typically how it goes at the Pavone family house.
That's good to hear. Hopefully it continues a nice Thanksgiving winning streak.
So the last time these two teams met, the Orlando Magic were just below the Celtics in the Eastern Conference standings. Now, of course, this was back on November 5th. But the mid-month losing streak for Orlando has been a tough blow for this team. What would you say is the biggest reason for this losing streak?
A lot of it I think was somewhat expected. Magic came out beginning of the season, the first 8 games or so, and were the second best shooting team in the league. And while I think Orlando has proven themselves to be a better offensive team and a better shooting team than they were last year, certainly everyone expected them to come back down to earth, and then they have come back down to earth pretty hard. But you could still survive coming back down to earth on the shooting front, and then certainly a team that's trying to make the playoffs should be able to do so. I think what's really changed for Orlando is about the time that the Magic faced the Celtics back in early November. That was their second game with both DJ Augustin and Elfrid Payton out of the lineup with hamstring injuries. They both actually had a strained hamstring at the time. Elfrid Payton's been back now for about 2 weeks, but he still doesn't look quite right. I think he's still nursing that injury a little bit and still kind of getting his legs back under him. And DJ Augustin came back for the first time on Saturday against Utah Jazz in a game that we'll not mention anymore after that, besides that. In reality, too, the Magic are not just coming back down to earth shooting-wise and probably getting scouted a little bit better, but they're also trying to reintegrate their 2 point guards back from injury, their top 2 point guards back from injury at the same time. And so they've been knocked a little bit off rhythm right now because of that, and their offense has become inconsistent because.
What would you say is the biggest surprise of this Orlando Magic team on the positive side of things?
It's the 3-point shooting. I felt like the offense would look kind of like it has the last 2 weeks, even when healthy, because this team just could not space the floor. I mean, Aaron Gordon was a sub 30% 3-point shooter last year. His experiment at small forward was a disaster on the perimeter. Nikola Vucevic was a great mid-range shooter, but couldn't step out the 3-point line, and it just congested all the space for everyone. I mean, Evan Fournier couldn't get open shots. Terrence Ross couldn't get open shots from beyond the arc, and Elfrid Payton is someone that you could pretty much ignore at the 3-point line. So the fact that now Nikola Vucevic and Aaron Gordon are both reliable 3-point shooters. I mean, Gordon's going through a little bit of a cold snap from beyond the arc, but he's still shooting 43% from beyond the arc for the year. That's still, he's now a player that the team can trust to take and make open threes. Same thing with Nikola Vucevic. When he pick and rolls, he pops out the 3-point line and becomes a much more dangerous player. So 3-point shooting, in my opinion, has completely transformed this Magic team and elevated them up a level. Even though they're struggling a bit right now, I think that is there for them and makes them a potent offensive team.
This edition of the Celtics pregame report is brought to you by DraftKings.com. Head over to DraftKings.com and use the promo code CLNS for a free sign-up with your first deposit and your share at $10,000 in total prizes, and you can win some serious cash. That's DraftKings.com. Use the promo code CLNS and get yourself paid. Philip, you recently wrote an article for OrlandoMagicDaily.com where you question Orlando's defensive identity. Tell me more about that piece, and what is it going to take tonight on the defensive side of things for Orlando to slow down the Boston Celtics?
Yeah, I mean, it's been something that I've noticed throughout the season. In the first 8 games of the year, the Magic, had the 6th best defensive rating in the league. And that's a small sample size, so you didn't want to read too much into it. I even, at that point, asked Coach Frank Vogel about it, and he said, we're not playing like a top 5 defensive team. If you watch the Magic, you would know that that's true. But it was the things were working. They were able to smooth over some of their flaws because they were making shots. And so I think one of the big problems with this Magic team and why they're so inconsistent is it seems like get their energy from making shots. And of course, in this league, that's really dangerous. If you want to be a truly good team, and certainly a team that Frank Vogel prefers, you need to get your energy from your defense, and your defense needs to energize your offense, especially because the Magic needs to get out in transition. In the last 9 games, the Magic have, I think, one of the 5, I think they're in the bottom 5. They're certainly in the bottom 10 in terms of defensive rating. Their defense has shot up, and all the flaws that were covered up by their shooting have come to the forefront. They give up a lot of points in the paint. I think they're second in the league in points allowed in the paint. They give up a lot of offensive rebounds. They're in the bottom 5 in defensive rebound rate. And so this is a Magic team that has a lot of flaws on the defensive end. They have some flawed defensive players, so they need to really increase their physicality and their focus on the defensive end to succeed and create the transition opportunities that they need. They've got some good defensive players. I mean, Bismack Biyombo's really stepped up his defense off the bench in the last couple weeks, in the last couple games. Jonathan Simmons is a really, really good defender. But they still need some pieces that aren't known for the defense to play at a higher level. I mean, Nikola Vucevic still has a bad habit of dropping down too far and giving up an easy angle to basket where he's trying to guard 2 guys. Alfred Payton still struggles to get around screens on pick and roll. The Magic on Monday against Indiana Pacers at least just decided to switch everything, and that raised their defensive level of play and raised their energy level a lot. And so you can really tell whether the Magic are going to be into a game, whether the Magic are going to be able to compete in the game by how much energy they bring to the defensive end. It doesn't have to be perfect. They clearly can get away with not being perfect. I mean, maybe not against a team like the Celtics, but they've got to be able to play at a high level and play together. And maybe they give up an open 3 here or there while they're trying to scramble and defend the paint a little bit better. But that at least this season, that has been an okay formula for them on the defensive end. All
right, prediction time. Who wins tonight?
That's still kind of hard to say. I think the Magic are struggling a little bit right now. There's going to be a night somewhere soon. I don't know when it's going to happen. I think it'll happen on this 4-game road trip that they're on. I think there's going to be a night where the Magic get hot and kind of rediscover themselves. And I don't know who it's going to be against. I'm sure the Magic will be focused and play intensely against the Celtics on Friday, but I got to give it to the Celtics. They are playing with supreme confidence. They're one of the best defensive teams in the league. They know how to stop teams, and they really frustrated the Magic, even though it was a relatively close game into the fourth quarter. They really frustrated the Magic offensively in that game in early November, and so I like the Celtics to win kind of a similar game where they have control over the game. They maybe don't pull away until the fourth quarter, but the Celtics win.
He is Philip Rossman-Reich. You can check out his stuff for the Orlando Magic Daily. He's also on Twitter at @OMagicDaily. Make sure you give him a follow. Check out all of his work. Great stuff there at @OMagicDaily. Phil, thanks for checking in, man. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me on. Happy Thanksgiving.
Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of the Celtics pregame report. Make sure you check out the Garden Report after the game on the YouTube channel, CLNS Media YouTube channel. Only place you can find full-length post-game interviews from all the coaches and players, and of course, plenty of reaction from the members of CLNS Media. Weekday shows air on the Celtics Newsfeed channel on iTunes, Stitcher, and the CLNS Media mobile app. For today's Boston Celtics pregame report with Josue Pavone, this is Josue Pavone signing off.